What? You should have started your homework a long time ago.
Hey, I finished both those last night.
Okay, well, good job, because I have 64 students that haven't even started 12S yet. What? I still didn't hear you.
Is that the longer one?
I have no idea.
No, 12S is like 10 hours.
Seriously?
Yo.
So regarding the homework, are we going to be doing combustion on the test?
Have I taught combustion?
No.
No, then no.
Perfect.
Did you get into this thingy?
Yeah, so understand this. This is, I don't know what's going on, and I've tried to change every setting I can find. But make sure you keep me on the page.
Okay.
Because I used to be able to get about 3/4 of a page. Now it's less than half. So I end up having to move a ton. So I had to turn my camera sideways because I couldn't even get it all on there. I kept running into the base, you know what I mean? So this is the best option right now. It was an update and it did it, and I can't. You know, like sometimes you can go backwards. This one I can't. It won't let me go backwards. So yeah, it sucks, but we'll deal with it. Okay? Alrighty, so it is 4:26 today. 4:26. This is 7th period. And this is going to be Chem 11:10, Chapter 12, Review. Gibson. Gibson? I swear I heard her get on. Isn't that Gibson? Yeah, she's not here. Nobody heard my thing make a funny sound a little while ago? Nobody? Huh, I swear I heard somebody get on. Anyway, here is my 3x5. Oliver's already got a snapshot of that. So, this is literally every topic that's on the test. So not overly complicated. We're going to kill like 5 of these with one problem. So, you know, it is what it is. Alrighty, so one of the things I'd written down up there, right, is going to happen. So if I have a straight chain alkane, now straight chain does not mean it is not branched. It simply means it's not what? Not cyclical, right? It is always CX, H2X plus 2 no matter what, right? If it is a cycloalkane, then no matter what, it is CX, H2X, because those two end H's are replaced by that C bond in the cyclical structure. Okay? Now, next thing I'm going to talk about is constitutional isomers. Constitutional isomers. Now, they will often just call them isomers, but it doesn't matter. Who can remember what an isomer was? Yeah.
Same chemical formula, different structure.
Okay, same formula, different structure. So what they're going to do is I'm going to give you 2 of these, and I'm going to draw them skeletal, and I simply want to know if they are or are not isomers. Okay, so here's one. Got that. And I've got that. Okay? So you got to figure out, are they or are they not isomers? Let's go with 5 hands. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alrighty, price. Yes or no?
I think no.
You think no. Okay, so Price thinks no. So House, what did you think? You said no? Evans?
Yeah, it's not.
Okay, so why are they not isomers?
There's not the same.
Yeah, there's not the same number of carbons, right? This one's formula would be what?
C9,
C9.
H,
20. What would this one's formula be? H18, right? So no, they're not, because they don't have the same formula. And that's how I would approach it. Okay? Now, from there, name this sucker. Because there's a bunch of these. Name it. 10 hands. 1, 2, 3. 4. Hey. 5. Taylor, where is he?
I don't know.
Need 5 more. 6, 7, 8, 9. Uno más. 10. Alrighty, Plica. What do you got for me?
2, 3 dash methyl
Methyl, what was the last name?
heptane.
Heptane. Is she right?
She's close.
She's close. Alden, what do you got?
Dimethyl.
Dimethyl. Now remember, however many numbers I have, that prefix must match that, right? If I had 3 numbers, it would be tri. Okay? Now, identify the C's. What kind of C's do I have? Who knows what I'm talking about? What am I talking about, England? Yeah, or
The fancy.
the what'd you say?
The fancy.
The fancy names, right? Which were? So I got primary,
Oh yeah. Secondary.
secondary,
Tertiary.
tertiary, or quaternary, right? And that's 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, and 4 degree. And I think most of the time they use the numbers. I think there's like one time they use the words, which is why I keep bringing it up. But yeah. Okay, so what's a 1? What's my 1? 3 degree. My 2 is? And my 3 is? 1 degree. And it's easy if it's on the what? And it's a 1 degree. The others you kind of have to figure out. Okay? Alrighty, let's go again. Let's name this sucker. Name it. Let's go 12 hands though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. One more. Hey, did your dad tell you I called him the other night?
Yeah.
12, alrighty. I didn't know who else to
I
call.
wanted to know how you got his number.
What?
I wanted to know how you got his number.
Well, I'm pretty good friends with Kirk. So I didn't know who else to call, and I'm like,
Did he help you anything?
yeah. We couldn't find it. I needed it. I had to find a specific size door. You guys don't sell. And it took me all weekend to find one. Shipped it out of like South Carolina or something. Yeah, pissed me off. But the problem is I was cutting my sheetrock and I didn't want to cut it too big.
And then you have to add
Yeah, and then have to try and plaster it in, you know. So it was just, he gave me kind of an idea of what I had to have, and then I was able to do it. So tell him I said thank you. Alrighty, so who was 5? What do you got for me?
3, 4 dash dimethyl hexane.
Is he right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it obviously has to have a different name because it has a different chemical formula. Okay? Do I need to keep rehashing the degrees?
No.
Remember, there's like 8 of them. Wow.
8 points I'm gonna miss.
I don't think he likes that joke.
Yeah, I didn't like that joke at all. That's a terrible joke, Evans. Terrible joke. What do we got, Price? What's the...
Just explain. He was asking if it was just the lines or not.
What do you
So
mean?
that was how many carbons it's bonded to.
Yes. Well,
How many other carbons?
how many other carbons? And when it's skeletal, you're right, it would be lines. 1, 2, 3, that's a tertiary, yeah. Okay. All righty, now, another isomer question. Are these isomers? When I'm done.
Wanted to let you know.
But yes, thank you, because it literally, it's so, I've been using that camera for like 3 years now. Right, when you're used to something for 3 years, you kind of have an idea, but it's been bad the last couple of days. So 1, 2, 3, okay, we got plenty. So Evans, what do you say?
No.
No?
Yeah.
Why not?
Because they're the exact same.
Yeah, they're the same, right? If I were to name these, I would get the exact same thing. Okay? I've just taken and done what to it? Flipped it. So be careful. We did this one time, I think, with like a double bonded O, right? I put it on one end and then put it on the other end. You guys remember the one I'm talking about? It's the same idea. Okay, so just make sure you pay attention. Okay? Alrighty, so that is that part. Let's keep rolling here. So, too many pages. Alrighty, so we're going to go condensed to skeleton to name. We ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is condensed. I want you to give me the skeleton structure, and I want a name, and I want 10 hands.
Do not expect complete.
That's what he means.
Say that again.
Like skeleton.
No, now, actually, I waited on that, Bueller, until last time, but what I realized is the reason I taught it that way is because I thought it was the easiest that way. When I did this in my last period, like 2/3 of every kid that raised their hand did it. Condensed, complete, skeleton. There's not one of those on the test, which is why I'm not requiring it right here. But I thought that was the best way to teach it. They say 10 hands again. 10 hands. One, two. Three, four. Five. Six. Skeleton and name. 7, 8. Nine, one more. 10, there we go. Alrighty, who was 7? What do you got for me, Ash?
Okay, so zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag, and then zig.
Like that? Okay.
And then on the third carbon, so the second one down here, we're gonna go zig, zag, zag.
Okay.
And then on the third point down,
This one?
yes.
Okay.
Go zig, zag, zig.
Like that?
Yes.
Okay.
And then
Is she right? Okay. Then you were 7. Who was 8? What do you got me for a name, Addie?
I got 3 ethyl 7 propyl dicane.
3 dash ethyl dash. Say that again.
7 dash propyl. And then decane.
Is she right? Just like that. How many primary carbons are there? 4 primary. 4 1 degrees, right? Okay. Alrighty. Now, let's say I did this. Which of these would have the higher boiling point? Evans.
It'd be the first one.
The first one would have the higher boiling point?
Yeah.
Yeah? Why?
Because it has a longer carbon chain.
It does, but who remembers the rule here?
Less branching.
Less branching, right? Okay, this one has less branching. So less branching equals higher boiling point. Now the thing you got to remember, that is if they have what? If they have the same C's. These both have what? Yeah, these are both C7H16. What would that make them candidates for? Isomers. Are they? Yeah, these are isomers. Because they are both C7H16, but if I were to name them, this is a dimethyl, that's just a methyl. Right? Okay. Now, what if I did this? Which of those are going to have the highest boiling point? Yeah, the top one now has a higher boiling point. Because now it's about how many carbons I have, right? More C's equals higher boiling point. So you got to look at them both ways. If they have the same number of C's, then I look at what? Branching. If they have a different number of C's, I just go with the one with the most C's. Yes.
So the number of C's overrides.
Yes. Yeah, the length of the carbon chain. Just because there's more places for it to bond. Okay? Now, while we're at that, what do hydrocarbons not do? Hydrocarbons do not hydrogen bond. Why? Yeah, there are no F's, O's, or N's. Okay? Now, let's say I did this. What am I going to get? Anybody remember this? What will that plus that always produce? Generic form here. I take an alkane, and I add to it a what? What was this called? halogen. What did that give me? What do you got, Price?
Is it alkyl halide?
It's an alkyl halide. Got my K. It's an alkyl halide. Who can remember how this would bond? What happened here? How did this work? Anybody remember? Yeah, so the CLs break up into individual CLs, right? And then that's going to take the place of one of those what? Hydrogens. Now remember, usually this happens in pairs, where one CL would go to one and one CL would go to the other one. They don't go that detailed, but that's what would happen. What would the formula be for this then if I were to write it out? Because right now it's C4H what? 10, right? What would it be afterwards? 9 CL. Remember, it's only one of the CLs that go. One of the CLs replaces one of the H's. And it would literally look like this if I were to draw it out. And that CL is going to be on the end like that. Really, it could be any one of those three. They're all still on the end. Okay? Alrighty, from there, let's go. We haven't gone backwards yet, have we? So let's do this. I'm going to write a name. First thing I want you to do is I want you to tell me whether or not it's a correct name. If it's not, fix it and draw both the skeleton and the condensed. So we haven't went backwards yet, have we? Okay, so we're going to go 3-methyl, 3-methyl, -5-ethyl hexane. 3-methyl, 5-ethyl hexane. I want to know if that's correct. If it's not, I want you to fix it. And then I want both skeletal and condensed. If it's right, it should be really easy. And while I'm thinking about this, obviously this is not correct. I probably wouldn't have chosen it, right? Can I do this in this order? Can I give you the correct name before I draw this out skeletally? Yeah, probably not, because you're not going to know how to fix that, you know? I mean, right off the bat, someone immediately should say what? Yeah, it's out of order, but I would look into it further. Does that make sense? You already have it?
No.
Oh. I would go skeletal, then I would rename it, then I would write it condensed is what I would do. You have it fixed? 1. Price.
I just have a question. I think you could make a... Is that right?
That's part of the question. No, you're exactly right. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Oh, like, okay.
Oh, okay. So Price is kind of giving this away, but what have you realized?
You could make a longer...
Exactly. You can't just alphabetize it and assume they've got the correct backbone. Because I'm going to assume Price just realized if I do this correctly, it is no longer a what? Yeah, it's not a hexane. That was a good job, but that's what I want you to see. I didn't want you to give it away, but that's a good job. You're fine. One, 2, 3. Let's go 10. 4, 5, 6, 6. Seven. 8, 9. One more, 10. All righty, so who was 4? You've already went. Who was 5? Alden, what do you got? Is it correct?
No.
Obviously no. Okay, so why don't you skeletonize me then?
Zig, zag, zigzag, zig. And then at the third, you put a wrench. Yeah.
Like that?
Uh-huh.
Oh, this third. Gotcha. Okay, then what?
And then at the fifth, you have one going up as well.
Just one?
Yeah.
Ethel? Doesn't that have to be 2?
Oh yeah, 2, sorry.
Okay. Now from there, and this is where Price realized, but drawn like that, I now have a different what? I've got a different backbone. Now, what's interesting about this? Anybody know? If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it doesn't what? Doesn't matter. I'm a dimethyl. Alphabetization isn't going to change it. So, yeah. So it's no longer a hexane. This is now a heptane, right? So I don't think so. Because he turned it into this right here. We just numbered it differently. So, who was 6? What do you got for me?
3, 5 dash dimethyl methyl.
Is he right?
Yeah.
Just like that. You were 6. Who was 7? Plicky, you want to take a stab at condensed? Okay, what do you got?
CH3, CH2, CH. And then branching off of that, C, there's a CH3.
Okay.
CH2, CH, and then another CH3 off of that. CH2, CH3.
Is she right? Can I have them both go in the same direction? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just something like that. Okay. And there's some more of that. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is not on the test. If it was on the test, I would have taught it. Right? Listen. There's 2 kinds of combustion. Okay, there is complete. Complete will always look like this. You take your alkane, whatever it is. Could be an alkene, it doesn't matter. You're going to add O2 to that, and you are always going to produce CO2 and H2O. Probably the single most important reaction known to man. Period. Okay? Then you have incomplete. You take your alkane. You don't add enough O2 to it, and you get out what? CO plus H2O. What does CO do to you? It kills you. Have I told you guys this story? So, I got a couple of them, but years ago, I had a friend. I work in a lumberyard in the summers, and one of our builders, his boy, they went to Bonneville, I think, was kind of the big man on campus. Was a guy that every girl wanted to. I'm assuming we have one of those still, right? Plick is like, I don't think so. But anyway, there was this girl that had a crush on this boy for years, right? And you know how word gets out and her friends convince him to ask her out, right? Well, he'd finally asked this girl out. She thought she had won the lottery. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Well, date night comes, guess what happens? He stands her up. Yeah, she was pissed. She's like, I don't think so. She drove to his house, knocked on the door, nobody answers. She's like, every one of their cars are here. He's ghosted me. Is that the term?
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't use that back then, but you know. So she sits down on the porch. She goes, yeah, we're not having this, right? And quite a while goes by, and she's like, man, there is something off here because every vehicle's there. And so she gets curious, starts looking in the windows. You know how you've got, most doors have like a side light by it. And she looks in and notices that, and you obviously can't tell, but you can see, she sees somebody on the couch and two people on the floor. She's pounding on the door and she's got nothing, right? So she calls 911. They come, they break into the house, they save their lives. Furnace malfunction and they'd have all been dead. Every one of them. And I'm just like, dang, that's crazy, So good thing for some crazy girl, right? Save this family's, the husband and two sons' lives, right? What? You know what? I never did find out. If she didn't, he's a dog. I mean, a straight up dog. So, not long after that, maybe a couple of years, my little brother was playing football at SUU. And he was a newlywed, and they rented a basement of this old lady's house out. And he was an older home, and his wife was an ER nurse. And every night, she worked graveyards, because that's what happens when you're starting out. And so every night before he went to bed, he'd call my sister-in-law and say, hey, love you and whatever. Well, one night he doesn't call her. So she calls him, can't get any response. Calls the old lady upstairs, gets no response. Just has a bad feeling, right? Can't get a hold of anybody. She goes down to the ER and sends the ambulance to her house. They walk down the steps. They had, you walk down, then they had one of those old doors with the glass on top. Can see my brother laying in the hall. Same story. Saved his life. Furnace malfunction. They went upstairs, saved the old lady's upstairs life. Right? Kind of crazy, right? So every year after that, I would do a PSA at the beginning of winter. Does anybody know what a PSA is? I would teach this topic, and I would teach what carbon monoxide does to you, right? Then I would send all my students home. I would say, hey, you need to go home and see if your house has a carbon monoxide detector, right? If it doesn't, you should probably suggest to your parents to get one, right? Yes.
So my dad was working on his friend's house down in his friend's cabin. He was down in the basement working, and he really needed to go upstairs for some reason. And so he went upstairs, and the second he did, he got like super dizzy and nauseous because he had been breathing in carbon monoxide forever. And so he plugged in some batteries in the carbon monoxide detector and went downstairs, and it went off, and it was like 70 parts per million.
Oh yeah, he's lucky he ain't dead.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
malfunction.
So I used to do a PSA, and I used to send all my kids home. I said, go home and see. If you don't, I would suggest you get one, right? Because these two incidences I had, I have never received a more scathing email than the email I got that night from a father. Told me, how dare I tell him how to run his house? And just went off on me. And I literally said to myself, you're shitting me. Really? That's the message you're taking from this? Never done it again. Because I thought, wow, that's really not what I had in mind there. I thought, So yeah, it was kind of crazy. But there's two questions on the homework that ask you about this. Okay, if it was on the test, I can assure you we would have spent more time on it. So, okay. That's all I got. Questions? Test on Wednesday. Lab will be due on Wednesday. You might want to start the homework like today. I don't know. Yeah, there's homework. And there's a lot of people that are acting that way. They're like, homework? We're talking about homework?
Members of the football team to the lecture hall, please. Football to the lecture hall.
Okay, get busy.